Yo, what's up, guys? Today we're ranking all of the support units in All-Star Tower Defense. So I'll let you guys know what's the best for. We'll have a couple. We'll have like what's the best for Infinite Mode, what's the best for Raid, etc. All right. So starting off, guys, let's go through all of the money units. So first up, guys, we have. I personally think probably not quite the worst money unit in the game. We have Balma. I believe this was the first money unit in the game, not counting Whis. But Whis has some other features that makes him not as bad. All right. So next up we have the worst money unit, guys, Nami. Nami gives you so little money and does so little damage. I don't even understand the point of this unit. Yeah. All right. Next up we have Escanor, just slightly better than Bulma. And then we have Sword Maid, which is slightly better than Escanor. All right. After that we have Bulma 5-star. Bulma 5-star is one of the best money units ever. Then we have Speedwagon, the best money unit in the game. After that, we have Dr. Innovator. I think Bulma's dad or whatever. He's a very good unit as well. You can't really get him anymore. I don't even think they made him tradable. He was like an event unit back in the day. He's like slightly worse than Bulma, but you can use all three at the same time, which is a pretty sweet combo. The other money unit we have is Bulma 5-star, Saber 5-star, which is kind of like the spiritual successor to Nami. She gives money and damage. She's actually does a decent amount of damage, so I'm gonna drop her in the B tier. Some strategies might be able to use her, but they haven't given her an element yet, so we don't know. But she is supposed to be getting a 6-star soon. They showed it in the Discord, so hopefully that actually does drop. All right, next up, guys, let's go through all like the main slow units. So the main slow units we have is Ichigo. I'm going to give Ichigo A tier because he's not as good in as many situations as Blackbeard is. And Blackbeard did get that OP orb. However, there is a few situations where Ichigo is metaphor, but Blackbeard in general is just way better. And I recommend spending your gems on getting him over Ichigo any day of the week. I think Ichigo's only meta for like I guess he's meta for most infinite modes. So I mean, he's borderline S, so maybe I'll put him at the bottom of S. I definitely recommend getting Blackbeard first, though. Then we have this guy right here. He is fairly easy to get depending on how far along you are in the weapons event. I'm going to give him A tier. He might take Blackbeard's place for infinite mode, but we're not quite sure yet. I still need to do some testing on that. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully he will. All right, next up we have Law. Law is kind of like a Timestop-ish unit. He teleports enemies back on the track. Since he is the only person with his effect, I definitely recommend you guys bring him for infinite mode. He is also really good for certain raid mode and events. I remember the Rumbling event from Christmas last year. He was really good for that. So I definitely recommend you pick him up if you can. I still need to get him because I fed my for one of the evolutions. Oh my gosh. Next up we have Merlin. I'm putting Merlin on here. He's not necessarily needed for a lot of things, so I'm actually gonna give him A tier. Also because Brook does have a slight range buff, but they actually buffed Merlin. Like they made him a lot better. They gave him now he does like a 40% range buff instead of a 30% range buff, which is actually pretty freaking insane. So and you can also stack him with Brook if you do it the right way. So we'll give him a lot of credit. Next up we have like all the Timestop units. Jotaro, I'm gonna give him A tier because he's so cheap. So if you're running out of money in raids, you can definitely use him. Or if you're running out of money in like a story mode, you can definitely use him. You could also use this Jotaro, but I believe they made this Jotaro even cheaper. So I'm honestly just going to drop him in the C tier. Get the 6-star if you can. He's actually very easy to get anyway. Alright, next up we have Mysterious. This is the best time stop unit in the game. For like standard time stop, he has the longest time stop and the most range. However, he is kind of hard to group up enemies with, so some people still use this Gojo. But this Gojo is still decent. He's a little bit better than this guy, except he's a lot more expensive. So depending on your situation, you might, for raid mode or story mode, I recommend these two guys. Or this guy, depending if you're on the Android raid, this guy's really good. So you can look through all three of these guys. Also, there is like a tradable version of this Gojo that I recommend getting instead. That way you guys can save your gems. Alright, cool. Alright, let's keep it crisp. Oh, this video's getting long. I just wanted to check real quick. Alright, so next up we have Erwin. Erwin used to be like the S tier unit, but unfortunately he's now an A tier buff unit. They didn't actually nerf him at all. The thing is they just made Brook better, so Brook now has his buff and more. But the thing about Erwin is he is so much cheaper than Brook. I believe Brook is like 30 or 40k to max. Erwin's like 4 or 5k to max tops. So I definitely, but the thing is, Brook also has way better range as well. So if you're on infinite mode, or if you're on even raid modes, if you have a lot of players, I definitely recommend bringing Brook. But if you're like soloing, I think Irwin's a better shot, just because you can actually afford him. Brook, he's just way too expensive. He kind of takes up, he's gonna take basically all your money for that role. All your money. He's so freaking expensive. I think he's like 160k for a max buff, while Irwin's like maybe 20k tops for a max buff. But he does give an extra 50%, so it's decent. He definitely does give a better buff. Ramsey, he's all right, but he takes up a slot, and I think you might as well just go with Kilowatt instead if you want to waste a slot in PvP mode. So I'm gonna give Kilowatt A tier. The reason being, they nerfed him pretty bad. He costs like so much money to max, and his ability is good, but it's just not that good. So like they just nerfed this guy to Oblivion. They buffed into Oblivion and then they nerfed into Oblivion. So this poor guy, man, we never know what's happening with him. Amaya, I think he's technically S tier, but I don't really see anybody using him. Some people use him for leaderboards, but I don't think he's necessarily the best unit in the game. So we'll give him that. Giorno, he does have that. I believe him and Big Mom have the same thing where they have like that time rewind. So they're both good units. The thing is, Big Mom costs like 600k, so you can't really spam her. But Giorno is so cheap. And Giorno you can also use in raid mode, so honestly, I'd probably go like this. But I do believe Big Mom does more damage. So if damage is a problem, maybe you want to rock out with Big Mom. Alright, Funny Valentine, he's so cheap to max compared to like all the other units in the game. And he does have that nice time stop, so I'm going to give him S tier. Definitely a highly recommended unit. Whis, he's good enough for battle mode. Like, he's good enough that you won't die to like Beerus instead of bosses. And he's also technically good for random boss rush mode, but that's kind of random. So overall, he's all right. This guy, he's good, but he's too expensive right now. So if we get like a 7-star money unit, like a 7-star Balma or something, or a 7-star Speedwagon, he could be good. But as it stands right now, he's not the greatest. He does have like that Blackbeard effect, I believe, as well as like some sort of time stop or something. So he is a good unit, but he's just too expensive to spam. So that's his problem. All right, they did kind of nerf Dio a little bit, but it's more of a cost nerf. Apparently they increased his time stop, but I didn't see it. He is definitely meta though, but he's only good for infinite mode. There's no way in the world you could afford him in raid mode unless you're like only farming and never placing a damage unit. Dio, he's right up there with Jotaro. All right, next up we have like the stun units. All right, come on guys, we got Boa, the #1 unit in the game, guys. It's the only unit right now that's OP. I mean, it's my old cold unit, guys. Come on, man, we got to give it some credit. All right, Perona, she's like the stun air unit. I think we have a new stun air unit, so she's not actually that great anymore because we have Amaya. So Amaya's a good unit, but we're not ranking them based on damage. We're ranking them based on utility. And so Amaya's a solid C tier. This guy is just too expensive. Not really worth it. Todoroki, you might as well rock out with Todoroki's. But they did kind of nerf Todoroki for freezes, so I'm going to have to give Todoroki F tier. They made his SBA way too high. This guy, you can sort of use him, but you might as well just get Brook. And plus, he's unobtainable now, so, like, what even is the point? You know, like, you gotta have units you can actually use, right? All right, after that, we have this dude right here. Why is he on this? Oh, he can kill your team. He's like the sabotage unit. Santa Claus is just a reskin. This guy's a really nice range for freeze. So if you don't want a time stop, you could use him. But he is kind of expensive, so you might as well just use time stop on that auto thing. This Todoroki, not worth it. Her, she's kind of like a better version of Todoroki. I think she is more expensive though, but she has a slightly faster SBA. She's actually not too bad as well, but she has like a bigger AoE instead of full AoE. Annie, she's literally just a worse version of Dio, but I believe she's really cheap though, last time I checked. So she's like a budget version of Dio over Heaven for like raids, etc. And Yoshikaga Kira, he's the only one. Kiryu is the only one that does the reset cooldown. But I don't think it resets global cooldowns. So yeah, it's not the most OP thing in the world, but I think in the future it could be OP. So maybe you guys want to keep an eye on it. So there you go, guys. There's the support unit tier list. Let me know if I missed any support units down below in the comments, because I know I haven't updated this as much as I would like to. And I think there might be a couple I missed. So if I did miss anything, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one. It's your boy Blam, sign out, man. Peace.